In a way, the idea of a trigger is actually pretty cool. Because if you're triggered, you're not really responsible for what happens after that. It's just that wily old emotional brain that can't always be controlled, you know? Hey everybody, I'm Leah Benson, and I'm a licensed body-based psychotherapist, coach, and psychedelic guide in Tampa Bay. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why the idea of being triggered is just an old legend based on brain science from the last millennium. I mean, honestly, in real life, it's hard not to believe that we can be triggered because, well, that's what it feels like. But based on what we know nowadays about how the brain works, it's just not the reality. And here's why. See, brains are understood to have a core function, which is the regulation and coordination of an organism's internal systems like the immune system, the endocrine system, the reproductive system, and so forth. And the way brains do this is that they anticipate the energy needs of the various organs and systems in the body, keyword anticipate, and they prepare to meet those needs before they arise. So, in a nutshell, a brain doesn't react to things at all, anything. It predicts them, which means, dun, 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 it doesn't get triggered because that would be a reaction. What it does do to get its job done is to run a model of its body in the world, which means your body in the world, which means it simulates your reality through something called predictions. And when its model is wrong, it updates that model through something called prediction error, which is just a fancy way to say by learning, so it can predict better next time. Now, instead of going down a rabbit hole of physics and math, or the just as complicated language of predictive processing and active inference to explain what I just told you, I'll just say this. Predictions are your brain's calculations about what your next action should be, and the things you're going to see and feel in your body and around you as a result of that action at the next moment and in every moment cascading forward. In other words, to repeat myself, predictions are the basis of your reality. And where do predictions come from? Well, they come from all your past experiences. So as a whole, they make up the model that your brain carries around of your body in the world. And that model is what allows a brain to conduct the miraculous process in the body that gets the right amount of energy for a situation in advance of the situation, depending on what the brain thinks the situation is, to be where it needs to be in the body. Which is all summarized in the fancy word called allostasis, which just means balancing the body's energy budget. And what this all means for triggers is that when you feel a surge of energy and you think you've been triggered, not a single thing except the exact same thing that your brain is doing at every other moment of your life is happening. Your brain is just conceptualizing energy that you feel in that moment as being triggered. It means it understands your experience in that moment as being triggered. And you are experiencing a strong emotion. But that's only because that's how you've learned to make sense of the energy you have all of a sudden in that context. And that understanding is prescribing your next action, which means that if you are with another person, the emotional experience that you think has been triggered but hasn't been will allow you to vibe with them, or it will allow you to exert influence over them. Because that's what emotions are for sometimes. or exerting emotional influence. Now, the downside of what this means, of course, is that you can't get away with bad behaviors anymore because you've been triggered by some mythical circuit in your brain. Because people who know how the brain works know better than to fall for the old rational brain got overcome by the emotional brain story anymore. And now you know better too. You are responsible for your behavior. Full stop. If, as an adult, you want to act like an angry baby or angry tyrant or helpless victim, you now have to own that you have chosen these behaviors. These are not triggered realities about how your brain works. The jig is up. The idea that your emotions are triggered is as true from a scientific perspective as the idea that the sun rises and sets, which is to say, from a scientific perspective, it's not true at all, no matter how true it feels. And that's all, folks. I'll see you next time.